Happy Monday to you. Thanks for tuning in today for your daily dose of orthodoxy here on the Deliberate Orthodoxy podcast. If you enjoy these podcasts, you enjoy these daily devotionals as we read through our Emmanuel Baptist Church Family Catechism, I'd ask you to like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, share it with others, and certainly we hope that it's a blessing to you each and every day. I'm not going to waste any time today. We're going to jump right in because we have a relatively long Bible passage to read today. As we begin our new week, we are asking this big question. The big question is, what is God's work of creation? And the answer is, God created all things from nothing by the word of his power, and it was all very good. And our memory verse for this week comes from Hebrews 11 and verse 3. And it states, by faith we understand that the universe was created by the word of God, so that what is seen was made from things that are not visible. Okay, and that's Hebrews 11:3 once again. And today our passage is one of the longer ones that we've had this year. It's actually the entire chapter of Genesis chapter 1. And so if we're going to talk about creation, certainly that's a good place to go and a good place to read. And so as I begin, I'm going to read from Genesis chapter 1. There in verse 1 we read, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness covered the surface of the watery depths, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the surface of the waters. Then God said, let there be light, and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. There was an evening, and there was a morning, one day. Then God said, let there be an expanse between the waters, separating water from water. So God made the expanse and separated the water under the expanse from the water above the expanse, and it was so. God called the expanse sky. Evening came, and then morning, the second day. Then God said, let the water under the sky be gathered into one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. God called the dry land earth, and the gathering of the water he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, let the earth produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants and fruit trees on the earth, bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kinds. And it was so. The earth produced vegetation, seed-bearing plants according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. Evening came, and then morning the third day. Then God said, let there be lights in the expanse of the sky to separate the day from the night. They will serve as signs for seasons and for days and years. They will be lights in the expanse of the sky to provide light on the earth. And it was so. God made the two great lights, the greater light to rule over the day and the lesser light to rule over the night, as well as the stars. God placed them in the expanse of the sky to provide light on the earth, to rule the day and the night, and to separate light from darkness. And God saw that it was good. Evening came, and then morning, the fourth day. Then God said, let the water swarm with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the expanse of the sky. So God created the large sea creatures and every living creature that moves and swarms in the water according to their kinds. He also created every winged creature according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters of the seas, and let the birds multiply on the earth. Evening came, and then morning, the fifth day. Then God said, let the earth produce living creatures according to their kinds, livestock, creatures that crawl, and the wildlife of the earth according to their kinds. And it was so. So God made the wildlife of the earth according to their kinds, the livestock according to their kinds, and all the creatures that crawl on the ground according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, let us make man in our image according to our likeness. They will rule the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, the livestock, the whole earth, and the creatures that crawl on the earth. So God created man in his own image. He created him in the image of God. He created them, male and female. God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, and subdue it. Rule the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, and every creature that crawls on the earth. God also said, look, I have given you every seed-bearing plant on the surface of the entire earth, and every tree whose fruit contains seed. This will be food for you. for all the wildlife of the earth, for every bird of the sky, and for every creature that crawls on the earth, everything having the breath of life in it. I have given every green plant for food, and it was so. God saw all that he had made, and it was very good indeed. Evening came, and then morning the sixth day. So, of course, there in chapter 2, we read also, then the heavens and the earth, everything in it were completed on the seventh day. The Lord rested from his labor of creation. And so we ask ourselves these three questions that we ask each and every week. We're going to ask them quickly today before we run out of time. The first one of those being, what does this passage teach us about God? Well, we see here that in the beginning, God created. Our big question and answer today have to do with God's work of creation. And certainly we see that recorded here in Genesis chapter 1. We see that the Spirit of God hovered over the surface of the water. So the earth in the beginning was formless and void. And you have the Spirit of God hovering over the surface of the waters. And then God said, you see this sort of pattern that's repeated every day and sometimes even more than once on the day. And it says that God said, and then there was. He saw, we see it there in verse 3. Then God said, let there be light, and there was light. And then God saw that the light was good. And so this is a pattern that's going to be repeated where God is going to say something, and then creation is going to come about. And then he's going to look at that creation, and he's going to say it is good. We see that that God said. In verses 6, 9, 11, 14, 20, 24, 26, God is speaking creation into existence. And then in verses 3, 10, 12, 18, 21, 25, 31, God is looking at his creation and he saw that it was very good, or saw it was good. And then in verse 31, he looked at all he had made and he said, it is very good. Okay. And he says, let us. As he begins to talk about the creation of mankind, he says, let us. And so we see there's community in the Godhead. One God who is three persons. Of course, we find that in the full counsel of God's words. We look throughout the Bible, all right? But we see that here even at creation. And so what does this passage tell us or teach us about people? Well, we were made in the image of God, male and female, and commanded to be fruitful and multiply and subdue the earth. And so part of this image bearing is that we, as God, took what was formless and void and brought order to it, and it glorified him. In the same way, we are to move out into this chaotic, difficult, oftentimes untamed earth, and we are to bring order into it. And in so doing, we glorify God and we bear his image as we rule over the earth that he's given to us. Okay. And so we're to recognize, God's the creator of all things. He's worthy of praise. We we look at the world and all that's around us. We look at the heavens and the expanse. We should see the glory of God, and we should be thankful for the good creation that God has created, even as we interact with it in its fallen state due to sin. And so we should worship our Creator. And as we talked about last week in our memory verse, Revelation 4:11, we're to know that God is worthy of all glory, honor, and praise because he did create all things, and that by his will they exist and were created. Well, God bless you. They're a little long today because of the long passage, but I hope that this week as we think on God, our Creator, I hope that you'll give him praise, glory, and honor, which he is due. God bless you. You have a great day.